Hey y'all, it's Corbin, and I just want to come on here to talk to y'all about The Real Mob Wives of Salt Lake City, Season 5, Episode 6, titled Mafia Wives and Bad Vibes. And let me start off just by saying Salt Lake City is probably my favorite franchise out of all the franchises. And I know that's like a lot to say with New York and Atlanta and Beverly Hills. Like, they are great franchises, but I just love the aesthetic of Salt Lake City. I love like that they film it in the winter. I love like the light blue colors and stuff like that on the title cards. Like, I just love everything about Salt Lake City. And let's not even talk about the editing. Like, the editing was amazing. That opening with the whole, mafia vibes and Angie and her confessional, and then we got like the big mafia man delivering, all of the invitations to the party. Like, it is just peak. This is peak reality TV to me. Like, this is just like amazing. And usually with Housewives, like, seasons 5 through like 8 or 9 are usually like their sweet spot. And Salt Lake City really is in their bag, y'all. So we open up with Angie, and she's talking to her confessional. And, we get like this nice little mob, this mob vibe opening. And so we have this guy delivering all the invitations to everybody. And because I had to pause it because I wanted to see, let me grab my notes. I had to see what was on everyone's invitation. So we had Whitney Rose, aka the Crystal Crusader, who was wanted for bath bombing. Mary Cosby, aka the Butcher, wanted for commentary that cuts deep. How fitting. How fitting. Heather Gay, aka the lip filler killer, wanted for being a bad Mormon. She should have been wanted for being two-faced, but you know, it is what it is. Angie's being nice. Bronwyn Newport, aka the fashion assassin, wanted for overdressing. I thought that was cute. I thought that was cute. Now, in the picture of her invitation, it had the picture of her walking in like that heart coat. I don't know if that was actually on the physical invitation or if like editing just did that, because I'm just like, how would Angie, have that picture already if like this is, supposed to be real time? But it was still cute nonetheless. Lisa Barlow, aka Baby Gorgeous, wanted for loose lips. And honestly, this one, her picture should have been a picture of her throwing the mic out the door after her hot mic moment. I think that would have been a more fitting picture, but she wasn't her bra in that picture. So I guess, it wouldn't have been too appropriate to have that plastered on the door with her kids there. But hey, but yeah, it was cute. It was cute. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, the editing on Salt Lake City is just like top tier. Give production awards, all the awards they can get. I don't even know, Emmys, whatever we can give them awards. I don't care. Give them a freaking Grammy. They need a Grammy, honestly, for the Salt Lake City soundtrack, because the like, I love, like, just give them all the awards. They deserve it all. Okay, Potomac, take notes. And while we're talking about that, I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. But Potomac, you need to take notes on how to throw an event too, because that event, the decor, everything that was, the decor, the food, like everything. And honestly, the fact that the event started 15 minutes into the episode, and like I said, Giselle's G&A event, Ashley and Giselle's G&A event, Gangsters and Alcohol, that event was what, 5 minutes out of the episode. So yeah, Potomac, y'all need to take notes. But y'all don't even deserve attention. Let me not get into that in this episode. So we open up with Lisa Barlow. I don't have a good Lisa impression, y'all. Sorry. I'm not a good impressionist. But we open up with Lisa Barlow. And so it's her husband, and Henry, and they receive the invitation and they're talking. And sidebar, did y'all notice that like Meredith got invited to the party, but I'm very curious as to what was on her invitation. Like, what was she wanted for, what her nickname was. So I wish we would have saw that. So if or unless I missed it. If I missed it, y'all let me know. But I don't recall seeing it, and I wish we really did see that, because that would have been cute, because I wanted to see everybody's. But anyway, we're at Lisa's house. It's her and her husband, and she's talking about how she's surprised that she got an invitation. And I'm not too surprised, because, Angie's not gonna not invite her, regardless of everything that's going on. Now, with this whole situation, surprisingly, I'm kind of, and this is what I like about Salt Lake City is that, like, with what everyone is doing, like, I'm kind of in the middle with everybody on how things are going because, like, Lisa is a lot to handle, but then a lot of the stuff that's happening to Lisa also, like, isn't her fault. So, like, let's rewind. Everything Lisa is mad at Angie for is legitimate. She's mad at Angie for, you're my friend. I confided in you. And then you went to my, quote unquote enemy and you kind of, told them what was going on. So I kind of understand being like pissed off for that. Now, Angie's intention, though, wasn't to, be like messy. She was telling Whitney, like, hey, like, you might want to like come make up with like Lisa or whatever. Regardless, I see both sides of it. And that's the beauty of things. But then Angie, like you started getting messy. Okay. And this is where you kind of lost me at. When you and Whitney went up to Meredith and y'all tried to convince Meredith to not be friends with Lisa. And I was kind of taken aback by that because, you're whipping out a scroll on Meredith and you're talking about, you just slandered my family and stuff like that. And even in this episode, when we talk about like the invitation and everything, and we go to like the flashback of Angie sitting with her husband, and he's just talking about, I can't believe you're inviting her. I should have security to throw her ass out. And it's like, y'all felt so strongly about it, but you were comfortable enough to go to her and try to convince her to not be friends with Lisa. So it's like, make it make sense. You're being messy, Angie. You're being messy. But yeah, so it's like I'm with Lisa on that. It's like you're interfering in all of my friendships and it's like making me upset. So it's like, what the heck? So then we get to the whole, dinner situation with them arguing. And I feel like this is the other half of things too. Lisa should not have brought up, Electra. And I understand that, as soon as you mention kids, whether you're talking about the kid or not, that's like a switch for parents. So she shouldn't have brought it up. But at the same time, what Lisa said and what Angie said are two completely different things. Lisa told Angie at that dinner, she's like, hey, why don't you like hang up, like you always hang up the phone with me so you can, you said you always got to get off the phone so you can talk to Electra. Now, terrible thing to say, but okay. All you're telling me is that Angie is an attentive parent, But then Angie, on the flip side, she's sitting here talking about, well, my daughter needs me. And she's like, I'm a present parent. I don't just sit and let my child game. You're saying that Lisa isn't a present parent. So for you to, turn around and say, oh, I didn't call Lisa a bad mom. You saying that someone isn't a present parent, that's calling them a bad mom. So like, it kind of doesn't like equal out. You saying you use your daughter as an excuse to get off the phone. It's not a great thing to say, but it's not as bad as saying you're not a present parent. That's kind of a terrible thing to say to someone. Now, the editing didn't help, last week when Henry or whatever his name was, Henry was, playing video games and Lisa comes in and she's like, hey, there's like Wendy's on the counter or whatever. And he's like, no, I'm just going to play video games. Girl, Lisa, it's not looking good, girl. Editing wasn't on your side. But I will say this. I genuinely don't think Lisa is a bad mom. As much as Lisa is self centered, I don't think she's a bad mom. I think she's a great mom, but that editing just, was not doing you no favors, girl. So they're all talking or whatever, and I don't like the fact that she's having this conversation in front of Henry. It was giving very much just too much. He was way too involved in this. Like he wasn't too involved because he just made like a little comment here or there, but he's too young. Like you don't want the kids being involved. Don't have your kid there when you're having this conversation. It's as simple as that. But that's neither here nor there. They end up FaceTiming Jack, and I'm just gonna say this. I love Lisa. But Lisa, you were so self-centered. She just kept saying, I missed you. I missed you. I just love you, blah, blah, blah. And even Henry had to jump in. And Henry is like, me and Dad, we also worry about you too. Because Lisa's just like, I. She's such an unaware queen. And I love it though. I like everybody on here except for Heather. Heather's getting on my damn nerves. But you know what? I don't dislike her enough that she doesn't need to be on, but that's neither here nor there. So next scene, we get to Meredith and Whitney. They meet. And so Meredith, she's like, I'm hesitant about meeting Whitney or whatever, but, I need this check because I was only in one scene last episode. So, I'm going to go sit with her. And so Whitney, she apologizes and she tells Meredith, about the whole, I just have proof that Lisa is the one who's like, spreading this stuff about my business. And so Meredith, she was like, hey, listen, make sure this proof is concrete because you don't want to go down this road with her if you're not 100% sure. And if I didn't agree with anything Meredith said and her shadiness and how she's always spreading rumors and stuff like that, this she was on point with. Like, Whitney, you're about to go down a road with Lisa. You know your history already with all the rumors and stuff like that that you've like, been involved with her. So if you're gonna go down this road, just make sure you are ready because, it's going to blow up. And clearly we saw how the episode ended. So, hey. But next scene, we go to Mary's house. And I just want to start off by saying the most disturbing thing about Mary's house is not the tacky furniture, it's not the big Willy Wonka chairs. Robert Jr. needs to take his damn name off the top of that door. Like, you are a grown man, okay? And I just, I could just see when they put that up there. Mary probably thought that was like the cutest thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Mary has one above her door too. And hers is like bedazzled and pink and something, bedazzled or glittery or something, something to match tacky Mary. And I'm okay with it. But Robert and his wife comes over, and are they married or not? I thought they weren't. I thought we found out like they weren't married. I don't know what's going on with their situation, but Mary's not seeing it for the girl. Mary thinks that the girl is a bad influence on her son, and I'm curious to know if, because all the stuff that's going on with Robert Jr., with him going into rehab and stuff like that. I wonder if this was an issue he was battling before he met her, and then she was a catalyst to this, or if, he wasn't dealing with this before and then she came into her life and then she came into his life and then all of a sudden, she's introducing all this, these bad habits and stuff like that. I'm kind of curious a little bit more about that, but I will say this. I feel so bad for Mary because I know Mary loves her son. And the situation is just sad because, you can just tell she loves her son so much and she like just wants to help him out. But it's kind of like she just doesn't know what to do. And it's an awful feeling as a parent, to see your child going down the wrong road. And, there's kind of not much you can do about it. I will say, like, personally, I've seen this situation with like my mother and my brothers. Like, my brothers were going down like that wrong road. And my mom, she did everything she could to try to help them. And, it just, nothing helps. So it's like, I kind of relate and I feel for her and I just feel like really bad. But Bronwyn comes over, they're talking, and I'm going to tell you this, like, Mary and Bronwyn are like the perfect team. Just two tacky girls with tacky houses. Tacky houses and some good clothing. Some good expensive clothing. And it's good. I like seeing them together. And I also like the fact that like Mary is engaged. She is clocked in and she is working. Cause Bronwyn starts talking about the whole situation with her family and with her daughter and her, the father's family. And Mary opens up about, her family and her relationship with her mother. And so we got a little clarity with Mary because I was kind of confused at the beginning of the season when she was talking about how, when Brittany said, oh, like I grew up poor too. And Mary was like, oh, I didn't say I was poor. But then like the next episode when Mary was saying, oh, my mom didn't like feed us pretty much. I'm like, well, girl, it sounds like you were poor. But we kind of got clarity because Mary was like, my mom had the money. It's just my mom wasn't really attentive to us. And so I feel for her. I feel for Mary. And yeah, it's nice to see her like opening up. And it's just crazy because you can just tell that Mary is in such a different space. And I think it's because Robert Sr. is gone. I feel like he was just kind of like a dark cloud, like looming over her. Just that and her entire family, like everything she's gone through with her church and her family and her grandma and her, mother and stuff like that. I feel like it was all like a dark cloud and it seems like she's starting to shed it. And I think the last thing that she needs to just like fix is this whole Robert Jr. situation. And I think Mary will be in a good space in her life because you can just tell she's getting her. She feels lighter. You can just see it on her face that you can see it in her eyes. Like she's just in a lighter space. Something just looks different about her and it feels different. And I'm happy for her because at the end of the day, I want the best for all of them, So, yeah. So, they start talking or whatever, and let's see. Let me look at my notes really quick, y'all. Mary's mom wasn't present. She was like, they had cabbage, cabbage and cranberry juice in that fridge. I was like, not cabbage and cranberry juice. And she said all she wanted was some cereal, and I feel her on that because my grown self. Even now, I'm a big kid. I love me some cereal. I will destroy, and I'm a fruity cereal person. I don't like chocolate cereal, so like Cocoa Puffs and stuff like that. No, give me some like Fruity Pebbles, some Fruit Loops and stuff like that. I don't eat the adult cereal like Special K and all that other stuff. I'll eat some. I'll eat it sometimes, like the Special K with the berries. But no, I'm very much a big kid, y'all. So hey, but no, so they start talking about Heather, and honestly, Mary and Braun, when they see that, like Heather's slip is showing, and Heather is just starting, like Mary said, she's just leaving a trail of lies. She's going around just like planting these little seeds, and I mean, it's stuff when Lisa called it out the first season when she was like, Whitney and Heather, bad weather, spin the truth, destroy. Like, they called it out first season. Like, those two, we say that, like, Whitney's talking about Lisa as the villain. Heather and Whitney are the real villains of the show. Those are the real villains. And they've been getting away with it for so long, which is why I'm so happy that they called out Whitney at like the Bezos party. And now I'm glad that like Mary clocked her last episode and Mary and Bronwyn, they're clocking her this episode too. I'm just glad they're getting clocked because I feel like they've been getting away with stuff for so long and they're always playing like the victim and they're always like, yeah, it's just no. I'm tired of it, and I'm glad they're getting called out for it. And my whole thing is this, and Mary said it perfectly, and I think this right here is the line of the episode. Mary said, I don't care if the truth is ugly, don't lie. And it's as simple as that. Say what you want about Lisa Barlow. We cannot like her and all, how like aggressive she is with her words and how she's always just, self-centered and stuff like that. And I know we're tired of Lisa saying, this is who I am, like me or not, but it's true. Like one thing you can't say is like Lisa's not going to mix her feelings. Lisa's going to let you know how she feels and stuff like that. She's not a liar. It's the same thing with Mary. Mary's not going to mix her feelings. Mary's going to say what she, whether we like it or not, we know what Mary's feeling. One thing we're not going to do is be confused about how she's moving and how she's feeling. And Heather, girl, you're looking kind of funny right now. You're looking real funny. But anyway, let me see my notes, y'all. What's next? I already discussed this, but we get to the part, well, they start getting ready for the party. But I already discussed this, but I'm going to say it again. I know I said I wasn't, but I'm going to take some time to drag Potomac and just say, take notes on how to throw an event. Take notes on these spreads, because let's not even talk about these sad spreads. We got Kay that can't cook, Mia with her, Slim Jims, Hennessy, and Act 2 popcorn to celebrate somebody's birthday. And we just got, and actually, I didn't even drag Stacy when she had all the girls at her house, and she had them like them 3 crackers, them 3 saltine crackers that she got from Walmart. She had those out there too. Like, yeah, girl, y'all need to take notes from these girls right here. But everyone's getting ready, and it was so funny when Lisa was getting ready because she's like putting up these dresses or whatever, and she holds up that one dress, and her man's like, yeah, that's a very small dress. And so everything, no, it was just like she was like, I could do this with the fur, and then she's like, but then I can do this dress right here, the red with the fur. And, what about, this tank top right here with the fur, and then these jeans right here, with the fur. And then her husband's like, are you going to do that with the fur? And all I was just thinking about is apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. That was the only thing that was going through my mind, but it was funny. So we get to the party or whatever. Like I said, everything just looks good. The decor is on point. The food is looking good. They have a nice big spread. My mouth was watering, let me tell y'all. And so I want to say this. Whitney looked good. Whitney, when Whitney got out the car and she was walking up to the house, I was like, girl, she was looking real good. And they all looked okay. Some better than others, of course. But my top 2 looks, it was Whitney taking Angie out the equation because Angie looked amazing, actually. Angie, as the host, like that dress was everything. But just talking about like the visitors, Whitney and Lisa, of course, the 2 enemies that's going to be going at it. They both looked really, really good. But Whitney was on it. The hair, the black, like everything just looked like really good. She knows how to. One thing Whitney know how to do, she know how to put on a little. I'm not gonna say costume because I don't want to get drag. But when it comes to a theme, Whitney's usually on point with it. I'll give her that. She's usually on point. But everyone showing up or whatever, Meredith shows up too. And like I said, I'm really sad that we didn't get like see what her invitation was. Brittany shows up. Now, hold on, y'all. Brittany girl, Brittany. Brittany shows up with a new man and an old coat. Girl, you need to retire that coat. Okay? You really need to retire that coat. You telling me that's the only coat you own? And it's Salt Lake City, so it's cold all the time. So like, it's not like if you lived in Florida where it doesn't get cold that often, I'm like, okay, you own one coat, one or two coats, okay. It is Salt Lake City, girl, where it's like winter like 90% of the time. Every time I check the weather, when I have the weather channel on and it's doing like the national radar, it's always snowing over there. Girl, you telling me you only own this one coat? You need to get a new coat, okay? You good at trying to find a new man. Let's find you a new coat, girl, because I don't know what was happening with that, but girl. But she comes in with this coat or whatever and a new man. And, while we're on the topic of motherhood, this is going to sound, offensive, but you know what? I'm just calling it like I see it. She comes in with this new man and it's not Jared. And we end up finding out she's like, yeah, I have a new man. And sometimes, like, when me and Jared are on a break, I just have like all these men. And sometimes I have, 3 dates a night. And she's like, I'm a busy lady. And I'm like, girl, well, what you need to be busy with is attending to your kids. Like we still don't know what's going on with that. And why you actually, the way you acting on here, now we know because it's always, a man, a man, a man. I got 3 men coming through the door. Well, why are you not with your kids? I hate to say it. I know it sounds terrible, but I'm only going off what you give me. Okay. And yeah, you have revolving door of men, but we don't see your kids. You need to worry about your kids and you need to get a new coat. Let's focus on these things first. You need to focus on taking care of yourself first. Take care of yourself and your family, get your wardrobe straight and take care of your kids. And then let the rest fall in place, girl. But yeah, I'm starting to see why her relationship is bad with her kids. And it sounds bad saying that, but I'm just saying, like, Mary clocked it. Mary clocked it. But it's funny because Mary comes up to him and she's like, oh, hi, Jared. And he's like, I forgot the man's name. I feel like it was something close to Jared. It was something that rhymed with Jared. It was like Jared, Aaron, something. I forgot. But they're like, no, that's not Jared. And she's like, oops. And then we end up finding out also that Heather made out with a man, which doesn't surprise me. In Salt Lake City, it's small, like Heather said. She's like, everybody done made out with everybody. I'm curious to know, like, what else is overlap because remember, word on the street was Meredith and Jen. They had the same boyfriend, but that was the word on the street. So yeah, Heather made out with her man. Mary's still confused. She's like, are y'all sure that's not Jared? And her and Meredith are going back and forth. And she's like, yeah, that's Jared. And Meredith is like, no, that is not Jared. And Mary's like, go ask him. And I'm like, Mary, why are you going to tell her that? Knowing the man already told you that's not him. And Meredith was like, you're not about to get me caught up. I'm going to look it up on my phone. I'm like, I know that's right. I'd have went and asked just to be messy. But Meredith was like, no, I ain't got time for this. I'm going to look it up. And she's like, no, girl, like, that's not him. Mary still won't convince. And you know what? I don't blame Mary. It's like you talk about this man all the time and you show up with another man. I would have made the same mistake. But it was funny. So afterwards, Angie and Sean, they do a cheers. And the cheers was nice. And then Angie's dad speaks. And Angie's dad, he was really giving, Mafia boss. I like him. I like it. It was cute. And I love like their relationship. I love that the family is close. As much as like we love drama, I love to see like families being close and stuff like that. But yeah, so they do the cheers. Everything's nice and cute. Party continues. So next up, Bronwyn tells Angie about, how they're telling Lisa about the whole, bad mom thing, which, like I said, I'm still sticking on it. I feel like Angie went a little hard with it. Now, It's okay. She went a little hard with it, but I understand why she went there because it's like even if it was me, I would have went there. But the difference is this: I wouldn't have waited till the next day to say it. I would have said it right at that dinner table when we were arguing. That's the difference. Is I would have said it right to her face because I'm like, oh, you want to take it there? I'll take it there. But I feel like Angie's good. She's a great housewife, but I don't think she's good enough yet to go toe to toe with Lisa. That's what it's giving. Because if she was ready for it, I would have went right there with her, right there at that table, and we would have had it out. I would have had Lisa flipping chairs and not me, even though that was a sad chair flip. But Bronwyn tells Angie about, Heather telling Lisa about the whole parent thing or whatever. And so Angie's like, wow, like, I can't believe she did that. Then we switch over to Lisa and Brittany talking. And so they're talking about Jared and, they come to common ground. And Lisa's just like, look, girl, like, I was trying to defend you. And Brittany's like, yeah, like, I understand, whatever. And my thing is with Brittany is this. The other day, I was on TikTok and I'm scrolling, and Brittany just happened to pop up on my For You page. And Brittany just gives, I need attention. Like, she needs attention with a man, she needs attention on social media. She just gives, I need attention. And it's just, girl, you need to look within yourself. What did Mary tell her? Mary was like, you need to do some soul searching. And honestly, she really does because I just feel like she's just a lost soul, child. She is just very much lost soul. But while they're talking, Mary walks up, and so they start talking, and Lisa's like, hey, like, Mary, like, are we good? Because when we sat, after we went zip lining, you were kind of like coming at me. And so Mary's like, yeah, like, I don't have a problem. It was just pretty much how I feel. And she was like, but I feel like every time I'm into it with somebody, you always take the other person's side. And Lisa's pretty much like, well, I just feel like you were coming at Heather a little bit hard. And like Heather just, was like feeling really bad. Like you were just coming hard at her. Don't defend the girl. She deserved it. But Heather walks up in the middle of this and she's like, hey, what are you guys talking about? Heather, girl, you know what they're talking about. That's why you walked up. But she's like, hey, what are y'all talking about? And Lisa's like, we're talking about you. And she's like, me? Yes. Yes, Heather. We're talking about you. So then Heather and Mary start getting into it. And Mary's telling her, like, girl, like, you're just leaving like a trail of lies. Like, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but it is what it is. And Heather's like, don't like call me a liar. And Mary's like, don't lie. So then Heather raises her voice and Mary's like, don't go there with me. And I'm like, Heather, don't go there with her because you've been feeling yourself since this whole reality Von Teese thing, and I know we call Heather like the master debater, and she's very good with her words and stuff like that, but I still don't think you're ready to go there with Mary because when Mary gets there, the one thing I will say is Mary is one of my favorite housewives because she has a very interesting way of arguing. When she's arguing, it's not like a F you, da, 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 like it's not like I'm just cussing you out or anything like that, or I'm throwing digs. Like she is just she argues in an interesting, very unique way. And it makes her one of my favorite housewives because I love a housewife that's different. I love a housewife that when you're arguing with them, it's like, damn, how do I like combat this, Because arguing back with Mary, it's just very like, it's not an easy thing to do. But Mary's like, look, girl, like, don't go there with me. And so they start going back and forth. And hold on, Heather said something. Let me check my notes really quick to see where it was. Heather raises her voice. Mary was like, girl, don't go there with me. She's about to drag her verbally. And so Heather was like, oh, name a time I've been bad to you. And Mary's like, well, name a time you've been good to me. And I'm trying to look back on things and actually see, has Heather, and y'all correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but has Heather been bad to Mary? Because I will say, like, Heather isn't innocent in anything, but I feel like everyone else has treated Mary wrong. I don't remember Heather really doing anything. Like, Lisa and Whitney, they bought that man to Lisa's son's, what was it, Fresh Wolf, Bad Mormon, Little Cub event or whatever. They bought that man from Mary's church there. So Lisa and Whitney have done things to her. Meredith hasn't really done anything to her, but I know Mary was mad at Meredith for not having her back, for not checking on her when Jenny threw that glass at her, which, I don't blame her. What has Heather done? I guess Heather may have. I think Heather was in on the rumors about the church and stuff like that. But I just don't remember Heather really getting into it with Mary, like how the other girls have like tried to come for her. Could be wrong. If I'm wrong, y'all, just remind me in the comments. We could talk about it there. But Heather calls Mary a gaslighter in the confessional, which is very rich coming from Heather because Heather, you are the biggest gaslighter. You have been gaslighting us this entire time. And then you happen to say, like, because Heather uses the analogy that, oh, Mary is like the Mormon church. She, gaslights you and all this other stuff. And I'm like, girl, you say that and then you proceed to gaslight us for the next 20 minutes in this episode. What are you talking about? Girl, get out of my face with this. So she calls her a gaslighter in the confessional. They're going back and forth. And then Lisa resolves and she just by saying, hey, Mary, like, do you feel like you said everything you need to say? Mary is like, yes. And then she's like, should we group hug? And Mary's like, she's like, maybe a high five. And, kudos to Lisa for resolving the conversation. Kudos to her for that. So afterwards, the funny part is, I'm so glad Mary is here. She is engaged. She is clocked in. She is working overtime, honey. Okay, this is peak season at Amazon. She is working overtime. Okay. She goes over there and she's sitting next to, I don't know whose kids they were, but she was just like, woo, that was a big argument. And one of the kids was like, what happened? And she's like, her famous line, women. And then she's like, she said, I could keep going, with Heather, but you know what? I'm going to let it go. And it was just, I love it. See, like Salt Lake City, it gives us everything. It gives us the aesthetic. It gives us good editing. It gives us good drama. It gives us comic relief. It gives us money. It gives us budget. Like Salt Lake City is giving us everything, and I am here for it. So after that, we go to Angie and Bronwyn. And so Angie is talking to Heather. And here we go, like I said, Heather is just ready to gas. I wish I had a lighter right now, just because Heather just continues to, actually, I shouldn't, because it'll probably blow up with all the gaslighting she was doing. Heather continues to gaslight us. She's talking to Angie, and Angie's like, why would you tell, Lisa what I said? And Heather tries to flip it and she's like, well, why is Bronwyn in your ear? Like, girl, no, that's not the issue. The issue is you're running around, excuse me, you're running around starting little fires and then just running away from it. And so she's like, I've been a good friend to you, Angie. And I'm like, where have you been a good friend to her? Because everything that Lisa got mad at Angie for doing, you're doing right now. Lisa was mad at Angie for, running back to Whitney and telling her business, but then you're doing that to Angie. Lisa was mad at Angie for getting in the way of her friendship, or trying to get in the way with her friendship with, Meredith. You're doing that to Angie right now. You're getting in the way of her friendship with Lisa. Like, you're literally doing everything that Lisa was mad at Angie for, but it's okay because you're riding for Lisa. Girl, get off my screen with this. Goodbye, girl. Good night. Like, it's just crazy. And she's like, it's just crazy how Heather, that was the biggest, like, I know I done said gaslight probably like 800 times in the last 5 minutes, but that was literally gaslighting 101. Like, you're getting confronted about something and then you're flipping it on us and making us look bad when, girl, like, you're the issue. You're running your mouth. And so it's all just, I feel like you've been a bad friend to Lisa. I feel like you've been a bad friend to Lisa. Pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. Choose me. Love me. Girl, come on, Meredith. Meredith Grey, not Marks. Meredith Grey, Grey's Anatomy, if you know. But it's like, girl, she's just like, Lisa, 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 Lisa. And I'm like, Heather, give it a freaking break. And so Bronwyn comes into it, and I'm glad everyone is clocking Heather. And Heather can't handle it. And this is what I'm talking about. You're all big and bad when it's everyone against little old reality Von Teese. But when everyone's coming at you, you can't handle it. You got to walk away from the table. So it is what it is. But Heather can't handle Bronwyn. And I will say this, like, she's coming at Bronwyn, talking about how Bronwyn is messy and stuff like that. The only thing I remember Bronwyn doing with being messy was the whole thing she did with Whitney, with the whole, that was trite versus it being iconic. Outside of that, Bronwyn hasn't really been too messy. She really hasn't. So I'm just like, girl, like you're taking that one instance and like just dragging it. Unless there's other stuff we're not seeing on camera, you're taking that one instance and you're really dragging it, girl. And so I'm glad Braun went and clocked her tea, and you can just tell like Heather is not used to somebody coming this hard. Especially she thought that Bronwyn was this newbie that she was going to be able to punk her, and Bronwyn is not going for it, and I am here for it. She really cannot handle that girl. I'm really here for it. So yeah, Heather can't handle it. She walks away because she knows she's in the wrong. And then this next scene, I'm not gonna lie. After the whole thing with Brittany and Jared in the last episode, I'm like, good. I'm tired of hearing about it, just like the girls are tired of hearing about it. But when Jared walked through that door, I I was just as gagged as Brittany was. Like that was the reaction she had. That was literally my reaction. Like I was gagged too because I'm like, I know this man. I know that's not who I think it is walking through this door. Like what in the world? But Jared shows up and she's shocked, and it's funny because Mary is like, who is that? And they're like, that's Jared. She was like, oh, that's Jared. You sure it's not him? And here we go going back and forth, and then she's like, oh, it makes sense now. And honestly, you can kind of tell that Brittany has a type because they kind of like they don't look alike, but you can just tell Brittany has a type. But everyone's like, who invited him? Who invited him? And come to find out that Whitney's husband invited him. Now, girl, first of all, this party is not your party. Whitney, you were invited, and your man, and what's her husband's name? Justin? Justin, you're a plus one. You're Whitney's plus one. So we have plus ones plus oneing. Like Jared's a plus two at this point. And it's like the fact that you had the audacity to invite someone to someone's like, anniversary party is very messy and tacky. And Whitney, you deserve to get dragged for that. But he would have walked in and I'm like, sir, you were not invited. This is I was excuse me, y'all. I was gonna say, this was a fancy, event, but the way they, carrying on here, it's not a fancy event. But regardless, I would have pretended it was if it's my house. I'm like, no, you were not invited. This is supposed to be a classy event. You need to go. This is not what we're here for. But also, y'all, Angie. Angie messy. Angie loved the drama. And Angie's probably happy that all this drama is happening at the event she's hosting. So there we go. So he comes in or whatever, and all the girls start comforting Brittany, and I wouldn't be comforting her after everything that happened at that whole, ski thing, at the whole, not the ski thing, the zip lining, and she's like, stay out my business and stuff like that. I ain't comforting the girl. Let her cry. She got to learn the hard way. She gonna be back with him again anyway. Let her cry. But she starts crying. All the girls are comforting her. Bronwyn is even like, like, do you need a drink? Like, do you need a hug? Like, what do you need or whatever? They hug. It's all cute and stuff like that. And so then they end up talking outside. And here we go. We went from gaslighting 101. Now we in gaslighting 102. We done passed the first course. Here we are in course number 2. It's a new semester because Jared continues to gaslight Brittany. He's like, what did he say? He's like, I'm not here to break up your date, but I'm here because I miss you. So you're here to break up the date. That's what it's giving. And so, like, they're talking and she's crying, and I'm just like, can we just end this? I thought it was over last week. And honestly, him popping up while she had a date there, yeah, it was cute, but I just don't want this to keep going on. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. But you know what, though? As much as I'm tired of it, at least Brittany is giving us something. Because Brittany is giving us something, Bronwyn is giving us something. What are these other girls' storylines? Other than, them fighting with each other, which I guess, like, if this is reality, I go two ways with this. If this is reality, not all the time you're not going to have something going on in your life. And sometimes, your life is just what's going on with you and your friends. So I do get that part of it. But it's like, especially Meredith. Meredith, you're not giving us anything. Heather, you're just being messy, not really giving us anything. Like, at least Brittany's giving us something. So I'll give her that. Brittany's giving us something. Bronwyn is giving us something. Mary is giving us a little bit of something with, what's going on with like Robert and stuff like that. Even though it's very sad to watch, she's giving us something. Like they're giving us a little something. So I'll give Brittany the benefit of the doubt with that. But he continues to gaslight her. So then he goes like, "Do you want me to leave?" And Brittany's like, "No." And I'm like, "Girl." Before she said that, when he was like, "Do you want me to leave?" I'm yelling at my TV like it's a freaking like the Super Bowl or something. He's like, "Do you want me to leave?" I'm like, "Yes." And then she's like, "No." And I'm like, "Fuck." So he stays or whatever. And it is what it is. So then we get to Whitney versus Lisa. And so Whitney confronts Lisa about, this whole rumor about her jewelry line and stuff like that. And Lisa like flips out. And Whitney is like, "Well, since she's flipping out, she must be guilty." And I'm like, "Girl, that's not, I hate when people say, oh, just because you have a reaction to something, like you must be guilty." One, we know Lisa is hot tempered, so she's going to flip out regardless. That doesn't make her guilty. But two, if you're accusing me of something and you know it's a lie and I know it's a lie, I'm flipping out too. I don't care. You can like it doesn't mean I'm guilty. I'm flipping out because you're pissing me off and you better get out my face before it goes left. So I don't blame her for flipping out. I'd have flipped out too. But especially after all the stuff, you put me through all the rumors you've been starting over the years and stuff like that. And if y'all watch the Salt Lake City after show, like Lisa like lays it all out there too about like all the every rumor that Whitney has started, like, over the course of time and stuff like that. And just like all like the trail of lies that she's been leaving too. It's just a bunch of trails, y'all. It's like a national park out here. Just trails everywhere. Just trails of lies everywhere. And so like I would have flipped out too though. Like I'm flipping out. You're accusing me of something I know I didn't do. I am flipping out. So it goes left real quick though. Lisa starts screaming and she's like, she's like, "Let me know who told you that. I am going to sue them." And so I'm very curious because I know it was like the podcaster, like Up and Adam, and he went on and like clarified, like what was supposed to be going on and stuff like that. I am very curious to see what his reaction is to like all of this now because I watched his like video like last week or whatever when all this happened, and now that this has happened, and she's like, "I'm gonna sue him," and she was calling her cybersecurity guy and stuff like that. I'm like, I want to see what he got to say about this now. And my whole thing is this. I'm new here. I probably got 0 subscribers at the time of this video. It is what it is. But he, I will say this, and he's a professional. I'm not a professional, but it's like, you shouldn't have put yourself in that situation. Because now, like, this is going to get spun. Like, he put himself in a situation where he doesn't have control of the narrative. And that's one thing that I would never do is put myself in a situation where I don't have control of the narrative. You knew when you were calling Whitney that, you were on the TV, like you knew y'all were filming. You didn't happen to just call her and she just happened to be filming a TV show. Like when you call, and I've never been on a reality TV show, of course. I've never talked to anyone on a reality TV show, but I'm sure like there's a disclaimer. You have to get warned that, you're on TV. And so it's like you knew this was happening. And so regardless whether your intentions are right or not, you know very well how reality TV works and you know they're going to spin it. And so here we go. They spun it. And it's kind of like the same thing I was saying with Mia in my Potomac review. Like with the situation with like Ink and, her child or whatever, there was like a scene where she asked Jacqueline's man asked Ink if he had any children, and Ink was saying like production made it seem like Ink was saying that Jeremiah was his child. And I was like, Mia, you put yourself in a situation for production to edit it that way. And it's the same thing here. It's like you put yourself in a situation for production to edit it that way. And it sucks because I know he didn't mean it, but it's like, here we are. It's the game of reality TV. And now you got to deal with how the cards fall. But Lisa is losing it. She's calling her cybersecurity guy. She's on the phone with him. She's like, I'm going to sue you and I'm going to send you the bill and all this other stuff. And I'm going to find out. And I'm like, girl, you're doing the most, but you know what? It's good TV. And she's just going off. And she's like, you're a liar or whatever. And so this right here is where she kind of messed up. She should not have walked up to Whitney's husband. Let's be real. Like you were already getting into it with Whitney. Like it was already getting tense and stuff like that. And we always talk about on these reality TV shows, like the husbands shouldn't get involved in women's drama and stuff like that. Well, she involved him. She shouldn't have walked up to him and got, especially because, we know Whitney husband messy. Okay, he was in the car when that phone call was happening. He in the drama. He just as messy as Whitney. Okay, he's just as messy. He gonna be the next housewife. So, he wants to be involved in the drama. So it's like, why give him an in to get into it? And that's what you gave him when you walked up to him. You gave him an in to get into it. But I will say this, Lisa, man, I didn't think he had it in him. I was like, ooh, it was cute. It was cute. It was kind of hot. It was kind of hot. I was like, okay, because he's just so like soft spoken. But he was like, oh no, you not about. Even if my woman came up to you, and I know that's right. Because let me tell you something. Where's it at? If my man get into it with somebody, whether he right or wrong, I'm going for my man. I'm gonna let you know that right now. I am going for my man. And if he wrong, I'm gonna tell him he wrong. I'm gonna tell my man he wrong. Not in front of everybody. We gonna go home or we gonna talk about it in the car on the way home. But no, ain't nobody checking my man. Absolutely not. So kudos to him because I was like, you better get into it. You better get into it. And so then we get the to be continued, and I was like, damn, this was a good. Salt Lake City is on point. Okay. They're really on point with this. And I am just loving it. I cannot wait till next week. Like I said, I'm sticking by saying that this is my favorite franchise based off of the girls, the drama, the editing, the aesthetic, like everything they give. I'm sticking by it. And I know there's heavy claims with, Orange County and New York and like Atlanta. Like those are like classic shows and they paved the way for reality TV. But right now, I don't care. Salt Lake City is my favorite in the game, and I'm sticking with it. And at least, with this to be continued also, at least they give us to be continues when it's needed. I know I'm gonna take every time I can to drag Potomac, and here we go. I said I wasn't gonna mention it, but I'm dragging them again. We didn't need a to be continued after that. Like they be using to be continued for everything when we don't need it. This was a deserving to be continued. Okay. But you guys, that is my opinion on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let's have some conversations about this because I love to gossip about the housewives. So let's get into it. Bye, y'all.